Yo, people, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another episode of Post-Match Carnage. Slightly delayed Post-Match Carnage. Usually you tend to do it at least 24 hours later. But I thought we'd give ourselves another 24 hours to deliberate and think and ponder and decide. The war hat is coming on because there is a title to be won. Or is there? I'm just talking for myself. I need more opinions. I need more people's views. I need more people's chat. And of course, for the panelists who are just as important and equal of value. So leave a like, leave an opinion, leave a chat, leave a question, cuss our opinions. You already know the drill. Show respect at all times, though, and the rest will be fine. Yeah, we're going to get tucked into the lineups, performances of the players, how we thought the game went, what expectations were before, after, now. And then we'll have a look forward to the Brighton League Cup and Premier League double header. So without further ado, like the stream and tuck in, man. Like Enz has made a cup of tea. Hope you guys have made a beverage of your choice, or if it's dinner time, have dinner. Enz, what are you telling me? Everything all right?
Yeah, all good, man, all good. Just literally spoke about the Brighton game coming up, but did a stream on Arsenal speaking about them and their fans. I think there was more their fans than the actual game itself that irritated me. So it'd be good to chop it up with you guys, like-minded football opinion. So let's see, man.
Good. Well, let's see how long that lasts, like-minded opinions, before we start rowing. But it is what it is. Early likes always appreciated. Football Carnage says, big up Grizz. Dash Patel says, and all the LFC fans in the chat. He says, before the super chats arrive, I would like to shout out, Dom, every team needs dog workers. Dog workers? Okay.
Wow.
I think we know what he means. We had them without our front three midfielder and club. Dom does it for us and no one else can. En says on the way in, like the video, Ryan, he's not wrong. Big up Grizz. My old friend, keep the good work. Thank you very much. Who's me? I'm your old friend. Keep up the good work. Yeah, I must know you, man. Let me know who you are, man. Title race is on, Sahel says. Hi, finally catching a live show. Fantastic channel, Grizz. Thank you very much for showing the love, respect, and support. Keith Cross, man, what are you telling me? How you feeling, bro? Everything? Is Keith Cross with us?
Keith looks frozen.
Yeah, Keith Cross is frozen.
He's
on mute.
He's just here to look good. I'm sick of it.
He's not even looking good.
You got to contribute with some thoughts, some words. Come on.
Maybe log in, log out, because you're all over the place at the moment. Log in, log out, Keith. Yeah, log in, log out. Cav, we'll go to you. Another pretty face. Hopefully your Wi-Fi is in a much better place and spot. Even though you look like you're in a cave somewhere, but it is what it is. Still you managed to get good Wi-Fi as opposed to Keith. But what's happening? How you feeling? How you doing?
Yeah, no, I'm great. Yeah, I'm good. Started the week off well. A lot of progress made on various different things. So yeah, feeling good. Looking forward to talking about the game that happened on Sunday. And I'm pleased we're doing it quite late because I've been amazed to see the reaction and then the reactions to the reactions, and there's been so much made of stuff. So I'm pleased that we've had a bit of a minute to sit on things, think about things, watch things over, and then come to a point, that's closer to reality, really.
Yeah, I think it makes a very good point. That ends. Cav's right. The reaction has been a bit mixed. Obviously, different fans have different perceptions, reactions to the game. Obviously, we've done a couple of previews. We've done a preview with a couple of Arsenal fans before the game. So you tell me, just without going into the details, we'll get into the details of the game, whatever, but you tell me how you feel compared to what you predicted and how you feel after the game now, 48 hours later.
I wanted us to obviously win the game of football, but I'll take a point. It's away from home. It is what it is. Just looking around and seeing, various opinions, without going into details. Some say they got, the points were stolen from them. There was an expectation on our side to go there and dominate and stuff like that. But do you know what? As I said to you earlier, it's more the reactions from their fans triggered me more than the result. I think the result is a fair one on the night.
Why are you triggered with
No, because I Grizz, I don't like hearing excuses, and I don't like hearing, opinions without no context or facts added onto it. I don't. It's just something I just dislike, and it will never change. And sometimes I normally just don't listen, because you can choose to listen, you can choose to switch off from it. But obviously, we're in the world of creating content, so you have to listen to see and then react to, what people say, if not what the team you support do. But yeah, it was just loads of excuses, man. And I'm like, that's not what I expect from you guys. I expect you guys to say you're title challengers, say you're the one that's been battling with City for the last 2 years. Big your chest up. Your squad is better than ours at the start of the season. Continue with that factor. Don't slightly change it and use excuses now. Because as I said, when we did, not saying we made excuses, but we gave them hard facts. They told us to shut up and move on. You're a Liverpool Football Club. That's what we was told. They need to shut up, and it's Arsenal Football Club.
I hear that, but I'm going to come back to you because I want your opinion on the game, or what you think about Liverpool. You've given me the Arsenal perspective and the outside world. I'm going to stick with you.
Go on.
Where are you with the Liverpool? So forget the outside noise for a second. The social media, the fans, the pundits. Like, where are you at with your team after that game?
I'm happy, Grizz. I saw my team come back from 2 goals, peg back twice and being able to score goals and not even playing well. I said I think Liverpool are playing at maybe second, maybe third gear. We touch sometimes. There's the added game where we hit third gear. I still don't think we're playing at our best. I still think that there's more. But for this particular game, I'm very proud of what the boys did. Injuries or not, I feel like the boys, you go into the game, you think, right, we got players, let's go on, kill them off. But that's not how football works. It's not a game of just players on paper. You have to go and execute on the pitch. They had a good first half. We had a great second half. I think if the game lasted at least another 10 minutes, I think we'd get the winner. There was moments in the game I felt like the players could have did a bit better, maybe look after their passes a bit more. There's one pass in particular, I think Wataru should have just threaded Darwin Nunez in, and let's see what happens. Does he finish it? Does he miss it? We'll never know now, because we opted to kind of keep the ball and go on the safer side. Well, look, I'm happy, man. I'm happy where we are at the moment. Well, we played 9 games, 10 games now, and still everyone said we ain't played no one. So long may that continue, man. But I'm happy, very happy.
Keith Cross, where you at in terms of? I think your prediction was 3-1, wasn't it, or something like that? 3-1, I think you said. Where you at?
Yeah.
How did you like as I was saying in the intro, or maybe when you went off, compared to where to do an instant match reaction. I done an instant one where I literally just watched the game and didn't see some of the incidents or didn't watch the game. Then I watched the game back, and then I've been soaking up, like En says, all the reactions from Liverpool and other fan bases or whatever, and then commentators and pundits. And I'll give my opinion as well. But where you at in terms of how the game panned out, the whole scenario, we'll go into the details of the game, but how are you feeling about the game and the situation we find ourselves in?
It's so funny because I feel like my mood or feeling towards that game has changed day to day since the final whistle.
Okay.
When the final whistle first went, I thought, great point. It's one more point than we did at the Emirates last season. Obviously, ultimately, it was a game that was decided by 2 players who are world-class superstars doing world-class things and 2 set pieces. And I just want to touch on the fact that Liverpool, it really surprised me. We never get enough credit for how good we are at set pieces. I think, there seems to be this clamour that Arsenal have a set piece coach, and it was all the talk going into it. No talk about the fact that Liverpool are one of the best set piece teams in Europe ever since Jurgen Klopp came in. It's Jurgen Klopp's secret weapon to helping us win the league. So it was no surprise that we would get on the end of that. So that's how I felt when the final whistle went. When I thought about it, looked back on the game, watched it, that second half for me, I felt like it was an opportunity missed. I felt like Arsenal were retreating in a big way. It looked like at one stage, when Arsenal had 10 men against Bournemouth, that's what it looked like to me in that second half. They were camped inside their own box, 2 banks for 4. They were really, really deep. They were trying to catch us on the counter-attack every time. And I actually thought, I don't think it was tactics. I wouldn't necessarily blame it on Arne Slot. I'll blame it more on the players a little bit. Rushing things, Trent taking shots outside the area for what reason? Playing passes that were a bit wayward. And don't get me wrong, the argument you could make with Trent's pass, because I thought it was not great up until that pass. So you can argue that, well, you take 10 bad ones to get one that creates a goal. But I thought sometimes it was just a bit forced. It felt like the Nottingham Forest game when we were 1-0 down. Second half, it felt forced. It felt too direct. And it's like, no, have the bravery to play the football as we have been playing and as we have been carving teams open. Have the bravery to have the ball at your feet and have a bit of patience. And I thought we didn't have that patience at all. And because Arsenal sat in a low block. And I think low block is going to be a big puzzle for Arne Slot to figure out over the coming months and seasons with Liverpool, because he's going to come up against that in more than one way. There's the reason why, Arsenal obviously have their thing with X, Y, and Z excuses. Okay, fair enough. And that's why I think we should have taken advantage of it. They were depleted. And I think we should have come away with 3 points. And I think that second half, we had more of the momentum to do so. The first half was the first half. But yeah, that's how I feel about it. So I'm kind of leaning towards, I feel like it's an opportunity missed.
Keith, the eternal optimist, doesn't want to discuss the first half, but I'm not going to let him get away with it. I do. We all spoke about a controlled start that we're looking for, especially with the selection. First, I want to ask your opinion on the selection of Curtis Jones over Dominic Szoboszlai. The rest was pretty much expected. Yep, the rest was pretty much expected. Did that throw you off a little bit, or did you think, okay, I understand the game plan? Because obviously it was all about possession, controlling their fast start. We knew they're going to start fast. Arteta said we're going to be flying. They obviously have a couple of returning players. Surprise, surprise. But how did you see that sort of? I guess we can take it, the opening half, like go into their goal actually, because it was a blistering start from them.
First of all, the selection of Curtis Jones, I was totally fine with. I'm one of the fans that really admires the hard work that Szoboszlai does, but at the same time, find myself a bit frustrated when he's in front of goal and he seems to squander chances. There's certainly a lot of improvement he can make in that respect. And I think Curtis, when he stepped in, has done well. And I think that he played well enough to deserve a start. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. Looking back at the game now, I think perhaps it was probably the wrong game to make that change. I think going with what we'd known in the midfield three of Szoboszlai, McAllister and Gravenberch might have been a wiser way to go. Purely just because they understand each other's game a little bit better, because they've played together more under Slot. I'm not sure Arsenal was the right time to change it. But I don't think that was the reason for us not playing the style of football or to our optimal selves that we've seen this season. So I was okay with Curtis starting. Hindsight, probably would have gone with Szoboszlai for another game and then brought Curtis in for the next. Start-wise, yeah, Arteta said it. They were going to come out quick, regardless of their 2 injuries. They were going to start fast. They were going to come at Liverpool. They were going to do their usual thing where they carve us open and they create chances and their wingers are a threat and they get in behind and all that kind of stuff. And to be honest, the first 5 minutes, they didn't do that. I actually thought we started the game quite well. We got up the pitch early. We managed to get Diaz running at Partey. Nothing come of it, but he gives it back to Robertson and he buys a foul. And you'd like, in the first few minutes, you're thinking, great, we're away from home. Their crowd's up. Arteta's literally come out and said they're going to start fast, and we've already nullified all of that. We've already overcome the first hurdle, get up the pitch. We can put a ball into the box. We've got quality in Trent's right foot. We can create a chance. That's a great start. And from there on in, I thought we were okay. I thought we kept the ball okay. I thought, considering we were away from home, this start was all right. And then the goal comes. And it's just, you have to talk about Andy Robertson, unfortunately, with this goal. And I'm somebody that has listened to fans say that Robertson's on a bit of a decline, and I've not seen it. I must admit, I was at Old Trafford and I've seen Robertson live, and I thought, yeah, he's still got energy. He's still defensively solid. Maybe he's not offering quite the output going forward, but that's okay considering we have Trent on the other side and, more dynamic midfielders and goals in the team. We don't necessarily need that from Robbo anymore. So I was all right with this Robbo that we currently have. But since then, I've started to see what people are saying, and that goal was almost an epitome. It proved a lot of people right with Robertson. He had the legs to get back, but he didn't have that aggression, that positioning, and that strength to really command that situation, which we've seen him do so often before. And it was just too easy for Saka to, well, not too easy because it's great skill, but it's cut back inside and rifle it past Kelleher. I'm not sure if that would have happened to Robertson in his prime, to be honest with you. He did the right thing. He's still intelligent in that situation when you've got to catch the quicker winger. You run in a straight line. He did that. His angle of his run was great. Quite often we talk about pace with players, and someone will say somewhere, "Oh, Robertson's lost the other pace." But one thing you can replace with pace is positioning and making sure you're running at the right angles. If you run in a straight line, you're running a lesser distance, you'll catch up with the man who's quicker than you, right? Depending on the scenario. He does all that right, but just didn't have that mature. It didn't show that experience when it really counted on the edge of his box when Saka cut in. So first, this is going to be a problem. And for the first half, it kind of continued. Saka decided what he wanted to do, and Robertson didn't have much reply. Changed a little bit in the second half. We'll talk about that, but it was the first thing that I thought, damn, we've got a problem here. Not only did we concede the goal, we've got to get back into it, but they've now got a clear way of hurting us, and they'd be silly not to continue to exploit that.
And I want to ask you your opinion in terms of the start. So there's a debate about either it's the personnel, and yeah, we'll get your opinions on Robertson's situation, and I kind of agree with Cav. In terms of Robertson's an absolute legend for me, but there is a time in a career or moment or a couple of games where you think, okay, that's 2 weeks now. Madueke has had the better of him, and now Saka. I still think he could be a tremendous squad option. You don't just chuck him out, but he needs to be rotated. We do need to, I think, eventually succession plan for a left back, a starting left back. I don't think Tsimikas is that guy. I think we need to go into the market and buy an up to date. I mean, up to like a 2024 version hybrid left back, like a Gvardiol, like a Calafiori. They're the teams that we're competing with. Look at the style of fullback that they've got. I don't mean copy them. I'm just saying that's the trend, not the trend, but that's what's working right now because they're the teams that are winning the most games. So then you try to see if you can find from someone from within like that as well. Just your opinion on that as well before we ask you the main question. I've made that the main question, so fuck it.
In terms, do you want the Robbo answer first? What would I do?
Whatever you want to tackle it, man. Like that opening 20-30 minutes was horrible if you're a Robertson fan.
Yeah, do you know?
Or a Liverpool fan, I should say, not a Robertson fan, a Liverpool fan.
Okay, yeah. So at first, obviously, I did. No. Because at the same time, I am a fan of the players.
Yeah,
supporting it, and I don't want to say some crazy stuff to throw them under the bus. Yes, has he lost a bit of pace? 100%. But he's playing against someone that's young, fresh, vibrant, quick, strong, understands what he's about, knows what he wants to do. So am I expecting him to be the same player that he was when he first joined Liverpool, 23? No, I'm not expecting that. I'm going to expect certain games like this. But the way that, the way Saka dealt with him, being able to, because you know what I did? I watched the game, but I watched back the compilation of what people threw up, and I'm like, yeah, Robbo made it about himself on the day instead of just dropping back into his position because he realized he cost us the first goal. You then want to make an amends. And that's where you saw Saka got into his own, shielding him, playing the little 1-2s. Because Robbo was like, I need to do something to show my team, maybe show the fan, maybe show the manager that I can still do it. He started going into little positions. Saka was easily able to roll him, link it up, play the little 1-2s, and it was able to just go by him very easily. And I think that was his issue. I think once you make the mistake, settle back down. But I'm with Cav. I think the first... If I say from the start of the game, I didn't think Arsenal started the game fast. I think we did it. I think our lines in terms of the defense, where we was the midfield and the attack was in good positions. It was literally that long ball that changed that whole first half. I think the game would have went into that pattern where they would have tried to get a bit forward, but we would have done what we were doing and keeping possession and stuff like that. But that one long ball in behind cuts in and finishes it. It changes the whole game plan. And I feel like after that, we go, okay, we're going plan B now, instead of sticking to what we normally would have done, which is playing through the midfield, giving it to Gravenberch, playing it into Curtis, let them turn on the ball and give it to our wingers. It was like, okay, well, we worked on this. If we go a goal behind, it felt like they just went, right, plan B, let's just go long now and get into our forwards as quickly as possible. The problem in doing that is, Gabriel and Ben White and Cole, they just kept winning it. So they kept dropping back to their midfielders. Partey was like pushed into the midfield and creating another player in there, which then overloaded. Kai Havertz wasn't playing as a striker. He was like a midfielder in there as well. So it was just they overloaded us so much in that midfield because we kept going long. We don't have apart from Darwin, we don't have the tallest of forwards. Diaz is a decent height, but he's not tall. Salah is not tall. Nunez is the only one you think, okay, he can, duel and compete. But so every time they won the ball back, they had the midfielders to play around R3 in there. And that's why, I think what Cav said in terms of, I think this was probably the game where we needed a Soboslai there. And this, sometimes on hindsight, you're like, yeah, I would have started him. And sometimes when we're trying to tell people, there's a reason why he starts in this team. It might not be the reason why you feel he should be in there or what he's doing, but there is a reason. And you can clearly see what we missed, especially in that particular game. And that's why you see people online now, or some section of the fan base will go, actually, does Soboslai offer us some? It's just for that particular game. There'll be other games where Curtis Jones will do well, like the Chelsea game. He comes in, bads it up, gets man of the match. But yeah, for let's say 35 minutes, yeah, I'll give it to Arsenal. They obviously got the goal. They had something to kind of, protect and look after, so they look good. But we got a goal back really quickly as well. So it wasn't like they had, the best. They didn't have all the game in that first half. We did stuff as well. Maybe not to the betterment or to our skill sets. We didn't probably utilize the players in the way we should have, but we got a goal back, and we weren't playing that great. But they gave it to their fast wingers and they look half decent. But, guys like Ibu and stuff in the first half especially did a good job, man. And Gravenberch, I think his performance went under the radar as well because it wasn't about him.
I was going to say, Keith, is Gravenberch aside, because I think he played the deepest role to the best of his ability in the situation he found himself. I want to ask, because we've picked out individuals, Robertson, and then we've said a few other players that didn't have a great game or a great start.
Virgil.
I was really frustrated with the structure, Keith. Like, I didn't like as soon as we was doing the watch along on the mob, Big Six mob watch along. If you haven't checked it out, you should. All the Big Six fixtures are live and exclusive on the mob. But straight away, Keith, because I was so focused, even within the first 5 minutes, we were pressing in this 4-2-4 formation. Like, we were pressing with four attackers. And it was leaving us so exposed. I thought we would learn from the Chelsea game where we done that, but then we changed in the second half. Why do you think he done that? Because to me, it was very apparent that was the problem. Because Arsenal, without doing anything with the possession, kept having territorial advantage, momentum, areas, of possession, which eventually led to the goal. So apart from the first goal, we've discussed the first goal. Robertson sold down the river, didn't do very well at all. But then after that, we'll come to our equaliser. But just that general setup in midfield, it's not quite right. Curtis Jones and McAllister were lost at times, neither pressing or neither in possession.
Yeah, I agree. I think it comes down to personnel, in my opinion. I don't think, having looked at Curtis Jones in the 10 position, I'm not a fan of it out of possession. I actually think he's so much more effective in deeper areas, and that's probably why Jurgen Klopp also turned him from a winger into a midfielder, and I think we saw it. He doesn't have the aggression or the the angles to press. Quickness of thought. It's quite easy to get past him. It's, you know, his pressing is a bit lackluster. I have to say the same about Darwin Nunez as well. I've said it before that Diogo Jota, the way he presses the ball out of possession, the way he cuts the angle for the passer to make it difficult for them to get out. He's so much better doing that than Nunez. So you kind of lost arguably your two best pressers out of possession in Jota and Szoboszlai. And I just felt that it just felt a little bit discoordinated. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we didn't have the
position.
I 100% believe it. That's one of the reasons why I felt Nunez wasn't getting into the team, even though Jota wasn't exactly burying chances. So that's for me what the issue was. And I feel like McAllister and Ryan Gravenberch ultimately had to overcompensate because, as En said, you had Thomas Partey cutting in field. You had Havertz occupying spaces in between our wing backs and our midfielders. And I thought they had to do a lot more work and it had to be pushed a lot deeper, which made it look like, you know, from a territorial perspective, Arsenal definitely had the better with us without really creating anything that would have made us go like, oh wow, we're in trouble here. The other thing that really frustrated me, and En's talked about it when after we lost the goal, was I really disliked our lack of bravery on the ball. For me, that whole going long to Mo Salah thing that we did against Chelsea, yeah, it worked to Chelsea because we had their wing-back isolated one-on-one versus Salah. Arteta wasn't going to make the same mistake and leave Timber isolated with Salah. You know, Trossard was dropping in quite a lot. Martinelli was dropping in quite a lot. Anytime that ball was played up there, Declan Rice was filling in there to win the headers. You know, you're looking at a team that are quite a large team. To be playing these type of balls to players, okay, yeah, we said, oh yeah, Mo Salah's like a target man, which is true, right, because of his body strength, but he's not going to out-jump these guys. Darwin Nunez is not good in the air at all. In fact, he is one of the worst. For a man his height, he's terrible in the air. So you're just, for me, I was just screaming out, like, let's just be brave with the ball. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're trying to do this whole bring them onto us so that we can try and dissect them. But what we were doing, we were bringing them onto us. We were giving it to Kelleher. Kelleher was going long, and all of a sudden, Arsenal had the ball and they were back onto us again. And I just wanted us to be. I was wanting McAllister to be and Gravenberch between Van Dijk and Konate just to be a bit braver with the ball. You know what I mean? And Curtis Jones to actually be available to pick it up in those areas. And I thought just the whole dynamic, especially in that first half, just made everything else a bit flat. The only praise I could give before the goal really was that, you know, once again, you know, we really are showing like that balls to the walls defending. You know, we are showing gutsy defending. You know, when push comes to shove, you know, we are getting in those drills. We are winning it in our end of our box, and we are looking like we quite enjoy defending. I would say, but I think that there was times when we didn't need to, especially the state that Arsenal were in. I thought we could have been braver on the ball.
Kieran sends in a message. Says McAllister was doing all the donkey work defensively for Luis Diaz, also which left Gravenberch isolated. I just don't think our fullbacks had a great game, Cav, and especially the left side looked very weirdly. I personally thought, looking back, I just don't think we won enough duels all over the pitch. Personal duels is what we spoke about, is what Slot spoke about. And I was really hoping that we don't get physically manhandled by Arsenal like we have in the past couple of seasons, where they just be physical. Basically what used to happen to Arsenal in away games, right? Do you remember? Arsenal used to go away and get bullied. I hated us getting bullied by them. And I felt as though that first half we got bullied.
I wouldn't go as far as bullied, because I think we won enough to not label it as that. But I do agree, and we've said it for years as well, that, and I'm sure everybody says this about their team, but sometimes you find yourself watching Liverpool and you're just like, where was that lack of fight? Where did that lack of desire go? Do you not recognise that even as early on in the season, this is a top team you're playing? Like, on another day, we're fighting for our lives, and the mentality is just a bit strange. And I'll be honest, after Virgil kicked out of Havertz within the first few minutes, he looked a little bit agitated by something, which was really unusual to see. He then goes on to play these really long balls that Keith discussed, and I'm right with you, Keith. You know, I'm watching this game thinking Arsenal Arsenal could play into our hands here and how Slot wants to play, because Slot's away from home. He's got every right to just win the ball back and recycle it and reset, which is what he's wanted to do all season. And would be more okay with that as fans, because we're away from home. And even if it don't result to create loads of chances, would accept it. It's against Arsenal. So, you know, it would encourage Arsenal to come on to us and take the onus of the game. And then we can utilise the really exceptional skill that Gravenberch has shown this season in turning out and progressing through the pitch centrally, bring your forwards into play. And I think Virgil was the biggest victim of it, was just never brave enough to just stick to what we've actually been doing this season. And that was the biggest disappointment from me, was that you can go away to Arsenal and a point sound. It is on any day now. It's not the Arsenal of old where we used to pump 4-0. You know, they're a great side. And the games ebb and flow. And they have their period and we have our period in the game. But you'd rather go down in a game and you'd rather lose a game playing the way that your manager's been trying to get you to play this season. Because I actually thought that was still the way to go against Arsenal. And we just moved away from it. It was too easy to just play the ball up to Salah and think, he'll hold him off and something will happen. And I think Virgil shown a real lack of, I don't know what the right word is. I don't want to use the wrong one, but leadership maybe, but composure, which is something we always assign with Virgil. He kicked out, he was playing long balls, and really what he should have been doing is getting his foot on it, waiting for that press to come, giving it to his teammates, and playing them risky balls, playing them risky triangles in and around the box to then facilitate us going up the pitch and getting chances created ultimately. So that's what that frustrated me. And I think you add to that, Trent had one of those games where he almost accepted the fact he was going to get beat by Martinelli and just was like, yeah, this happens every time I come up against him. Usually it doesn't come to much though, because his end product's not that great. We'll all accept that. As opposed to approaching the game and going, I'm going to lock him up today. You know, I'm just going to do my job today. You know, if he runs by me, I'm going to make sure I turn around and run with him, not just, he moves behind me, I'm going to leave him to it. So he had a bit of one of those games where the attitude was poor. For me, it got worse in the second half because he just resorted to, I've got immense quality, I'm just going to play whatever pass I want. I'm like, hold on. I know it leads to one of the goals, but do the little stuff. Enz and I spoke about it the other day, like build your way into the game again. Not just look for the Hollywoods all the time, you know. So he had that. Robertson obviously being dictated to by Saka. I thought a large part of why we didn't play, I'm not going to say our best because I think our best hasn't been seen yet, why we didn't play to the levels or to the style that we'd seen in weeks gone by was mainly down to the defenders. I really think it was. And losing them battles, you needed, for the tide to change, you needed Salah to win some battles. You needed Diaz to win some battles. If that was the way to go, playing the ball up to them, you needed them to win it. And they didn't. And they simply didn't. Partey and Timber got the better of them. And like Ken said, then it meant they gained possession and didn't do much with it. But it just was really disappointing to see that we didn't trust ourselves with what we've been trying to do all season.
200 of you guys in here, not even 100 likes, so get the ratios up, please, brothers and sisters. Smash a like button, subscribe if you haven't. We haven't even discussed our goals. I guess not much to discuss. Brilliant delivery from Trent. Diaz gets the flick on and Virgil scores. And then ends. The frustrating part was then I thought to myself, okay, we've weathered not a storm.
Yeah,
we've been on the back foot. And I agree with Keith. We are showing much more desire and hunger to defend. I do like that. It's actually visible. So many times I see Curtis Jones and McAllister sprinting back, trying to get behind the ball. I'm thinking, why the F are you so ahead of the ball? That's a different story. But the second goal was so frustrating for me, man. I'm not going to lie. I was going mad. The previous 10 minutes building up to that, we just kept getting foul after foul after foul. We know Arsenal are the best team in the league with set pieces. But I don't think we can blame anyone for the actual goal, because I think that was the closest thing you've seen to a Beckham type delivery. Like, that delivery was just sumptuous.
Nah, do you know what? Declan Rice is crazy. I'm not his biggest fan, I'll tell you that much. But one thing I can credit this man on is them deliveries, man, and they're ridiculously good. I saw it a few games back, and even last season when he was taking corners. I'm like, the amount of whip and power and accuracy he gets on these crosses are stupid. Just before that, obviously, I think Moreno misses a header because one of his teammates run into the back of him.
We've had a warning. We've had to stop giving kicks away.
So
McAllister, Diaz, Jones, Nunez, chasing back, giving innocuous free kicks.
Do you know what it is, though, Grizz? It's because they kept overloading us in the midfield area. The players, the way they looked at it, for us to kind of get back in the game, they were doing the hard work, but doing it in the wrong moments. So it's like, we need to be aggressive. We need to be stronger. We need to let them know we're around. But then we just chose the wrong moments. It's when you were drooling with him in the first place. That's when you needed to show that. Not tracking someone else and clipping a heel or barging into the back of them, or, you know what I mean? It wasn't then we needed you to win that. It's when the ball got played to you in the first place. Control it. If he has to push you in the back, let him push you in the back. Sometimes I feel like with our players, it's not that I want us to go down. I feel like they're scared about taking a tackle and just, allowing someone to foul you. Just let them foul you. Sometimes I feel like we try and do the pretty thing and try and skip out of it and knock it round them. No, just let him run into the back of you, and then let the referee know, like, ref, how many more of these you're going to give? Like what they were doing, because they kept trying to get our players, card. But for their goal, man, that delivery was ridiculous. And we're talking about small margins here. Look how long they were measuring up the lines and drawing the lines. Big toe, Virgil's foot slightly smaller, you know what I mean? It's offside. It's just small margins with these things. What I didn't like, though, from the set piece, I saw it in the first one. They kind of done their three and they sat off of us away from the actual line itself. And then once he was about to go and take it, they will drop in. But what they did was push our line from dropping. So they'll just check everyone running and then they'll leave two spare. They did it first time. I'm like, guys, listen, you guys need to stop letting this, happen. As soon as that three comes, get on the other side of them as early as possible. What we're trying to do is expecting it to drop a bit shorter. I'm like, but you saw the first one. It don't drop short. It's going to go into that danger area. So get on the other side of them, as quickly as possible. Don't allow them to just drop their line and then barge into you and stop you from running and allowing the third man, fourth man run. And then, they get 5 yards out, maybe 6 yards out, clean header, simple goal, back in, they're back in the lead again. But they went defensive straight away after that. They just went, okay, we'll just defend this. And that's, I think, their issue. I think last season they wouldn't have done that. I think they would have smelt blood and kept going and want more and more and more. But this season, I don't know if it's us, the difference in the way we play. They kind of changed their system. Some would say, they didn't have their players and whatever. That I think that's an excuse. I think they had enough quality on the football pitch to go, do you know what? Liverpool ain't on it today. Let's go and score more goals here. Because they were, I wouldn't use the word bullying, but they were winning most of that drawl in there. And that's because they had more players in there. Their system, the way they set up tactically, that they were in the ascendancy. But I think that changed massively after that.
We'll get into the second half. A couple of super chats that I just want to get over and done with. Alex Leonte says, evening lads, said before the game that we must not lose. And so we did. We didn't, bro. Robbo is done. We need a left back in Jan and a mid two. Jota needs to go injury prone. That will be discussed near the end of the show. Or near the end of the game, I should say. Mike sends in a super. Saka does that to every left back when he's in that mood. Yeah, look, let's not get it twisted. Saka
That's fair. Yeah,
brilliant.
That's fair.
Saka is brilliant. So look, it's not something to solely judge Robertson on. But we've just seen him handle so many attackers in the past. I just think we may be at a crossroads that, that part of the crossroad where you think maybe, like we had with Henderson, Gini, Mane, Bobby, so many others, legends of the club. Keith Cross, second half, instantly better. Is it structurally? Because at this stage, still no personnel change. Was there at halftime? No changes at half. Oh, no.
We didn't.
Not straight away. Not straight away. No. I think we made changes after like 10, 15. It's quite quick.
So 15 minutes, but instant change in terms of momentum. We are more in the ascendancy. What was the difference? Did we just start winning our duels better? Did he structure the midfield better? I thought he dropped Curtis a little bit and played McAllister a little bit further, and Curtis joined Gravenberch as a pivot. That was just my observation. It might have been different.
I could probably agree with you on that. I think for me it was Arsenal. Like it baffled me with the way they started that second half, to be perfectly honest with you. They really went with protecting that lead. You know, as I said, when I said earlier on, I was looking at literally two banks of four and they were going on for the counter attack. Now, Slot alluded to the fact that Arteta has a lot of different, apparently he makes a lot of different changes in game. He's got a lot of different tactics in game. And I just feel like that was Arteta trying to defend a lead against, as opposed to going for the jugular. And I don't buy the reasoning behind it at all. I think that Arsenal were a bit cowardly, to be perfectly honest with you. They should have come out in the second half and tried to play football. So for me, it was that, and I think that allowed us to get further up the pitch. I thought when Cody Gakpo came up, I thought we were a lot more direct and dynamic, a lot more physical in that side of the pitch. I thought Saka started to wane a little bit. It's funny that we're talking about Robertson's performance in the first half. I actually thought in the second half he played all right. You know what I mean? I thought he just had more legs than Saka. There was one moment in particular.
Was that down to Saka just come back from an injury and tiring?
Probably tiring. I've got another opinion on Robertson actually. But before that, I think for me, I don't think it's necessarily the defending, the physicality. Okay, yes, he did get done by Madueke last week. He got done by Saka this week. He's always been kind of prone to that sometimes, where he kind of gets into his head, as En said earlier, and kind of tries to force the scenario rather than jockey. I actually think the biggest issue he's going to have in this squad is his ability on the ball. Okay. Andy Robertson is a direct winger, right? Out and out wing back, up, down, up, down, up, down. In the system that Klopp played, it was perfect, right? Because it was get the ball wide, fullbacks go high, Andy Robertson gets the ball, cuts it back in, puts brilliant delivery, brilliant pass of the ball off his left foot. Genuinely just a really good footballer in terms of playing as a winger. Where I see Costa Tsimikas, I think Costa Tsimikas is just a better footballer on the ball. And I think this whole way that we decide to build up, the situation we put ourselves in, our wing backs, it's less about the physical get up and down the wings anymore. And it's actually more about, are you comfortable with the ball? Can you knock the ball around? Can you play the ball inside? Can you receive the ball onto your weaker foot and move it about? Can you make overlapping runs the way that Costa Tsimikas does? So I think, I don't know. For me, I feel like he's struggling a little bit in that aspect because we're not probably getting the best out of him as much as we usually did in the Jurgen Klopp side. This is a personal opinion of mine, happy for it to be shut down, but that's what I'm seeing at the moment. I don't feel like we're using his qualities going forward as much as we used to. And I think if that's going to be the way it goes down moving forward, I think Costa Tsimikas is a very good opportunity to win a place in that first left back position, because against Leipzig, I saw a much better performance overall footballing wise than I did from Andy Robertson. And that's not because of his defending. I think just general play in as a whole. So that's my 2 cents on him, to be honest. I don't know if he survives the way we play football today.
Fair enough. Cav, eventually, obviously we make the substitutions. So Gakpo comes for the very ineffective Luis Diaz. I was surprised. He took him on once. Could have done better. I don't know what he tried to do in the end. I think he might have lost a foot or lost it.
Yeah, just overran it a bit. Yeah,
overran it a little bit. Maybe credit to Thomas Partey, who was brilliant. Everyone thought that was going to be the battle that's going to decide the game. Well, it didn't decide the game, but it edged it in their favor because he was so dominant. I thought Timber was very good against Mo, until he started to tire, and then Mo started using his intelligence. But did you read the changes? Were they the changes that were in your head? Because Gakpo comes on for Diaz, Szoboszlai comes on for McAllister, and obviously the left back swap. I actually think if we didn't go in behind at halftime, I think Gomez was nailed on to come in. But the fact that we needed something from the left side, I think Tsimikas came on. I think if it was level, I think Gomez would have come in just to solidify that. That's just obviously an opinion. But what was the difference in change, and did those substitutions make any difference in your opinion? Because we started building.
Yeah, I don't think anybody come on and had a massive individual impact, to be honest. Diaz was disappointing. And I think this is where we really hope that Diaz can take his game to the next level in these kinds of situations. You know, he started the season off well, contributed with some goals, and he's answered a lot of critics at the start. We want to see that consistency, but we also want to see him just turn up in these big games as well. You know, like Partey at right back, out of position, did brilliantly well, but he shouldn't have. He shouldn't have. We just spoke about a young Saka that's dynamic and was raring for the occasion and got all the build-up. Well, Diaz equally should have been excited about this game and the prospect about going up against Partey and doing something, and he didn't. He didn't do anything. Salah had a game that we come to expect from Salah now, where it's just you're watching him waiting for the moment, or you're waiting for him to just kickstart the game himself, you know, and that happened later in the half. I do think bringing Szoboszlai on helped a little bit. Keith talked about the structure and how we pressed and how we retained the ball and stuff.
Just his physicality. He wins duels.
Yeah, exactly. He does a lot of running. When he gets back, he's still got the energy and the strength to win challenges as well. He naturally, if a player goes beyond him, will turn around and run back. So he plays his part, as we've all discussed. And I just felt more not like he was great, but it felt like we were going back to what we were comfortable doing in the games gone by. Curtis Jones drops into sort of the 8th position alongside Gravenberch. That's where he played the previous week. So it just felt like a bit more familiarity was there, as opposed to players coming and making a massive individual impact. Cody came on and did okay. You could tell he was trying to get involved and what have you. But I just think that in these games against Arsenal, and the same with Man City, that even if you change nothing, you just get a period in the game where you are on top, because they're two very, precisely set up teams. And if you win your duels and you connect a few passes and you get a bit of momentum, you have a spell in the game where both sides dominate. It's rare that one team really dominates 90 minutes of football again in these head-to-heads. Combine that with the fact that I do think Gabriel going off changed the momentum a little bit. From Arsenal's point of view, you could tell that was the player that they wouldn't have wanted to have lost. He was doing well defensively, as you'd expect. I think when they seen him go off, it just reinforced that they were like, okay, let's try and just get what we've got, keep what we've got, and sit back, because now we've got the excuse. We've got both Saliba and Gabriel out. That it played into Arteta's way of thinking now, which is a bit getting more and more defensive, and then it encouraged us to get on the ball. We've got to get back into the game. So I do think that him going off had an impact, and I think Trent took it upon himself to try and make things happen. And there was a few passes that were just, you feel harsh for criticising him, because when they come off, they're great. And he does it most weeks, but it weren't working. Salah does what he usually does in the second half, where he just managed to find a yard of space. He manages to work something. So sometimes it is his intelligence, don't get me wrong, but sometimes I feel like he gets a little bit agitated that he's not done something in the game yet, and it usually gets to the latter parts of the game where he's like, right, I need to show up now, and I just see a bit more aggression in him, a bit more desire to run with the ball. I feel like in the first half of games this season, we're seeing him get the ball, give it again, get the ball, give it again, whereas in the second half, he's like, when he needs to make something happen, he'll take the extra touches and he'll delay and wait for the runners and things like that. So you're seeing that happen a lot more in the second half, and if he's influencing the game and if he's on the ball, more often than not, we're creating more chances. So I just think the momentum of the game swung in our favour a little bit. And for me, although Arsenal were creating chances themselves at the end of the game, I felt like if the game was going on longer, it was more likely to be ourselves that would go on and score. So I was disappointed with the game in the sense that we didn't play how we were playing this season so far. But I'm also pleased that Liverpool still have that quality and that thing where we're never out of it, even on any given day, especially against the top teams. You never change your way against Liverpool. You never take your eye off the ball, because we will still manage to come away with something. And it's nice that we've not lost that in all the change that's gone on managerially.
Yeah, Red Zabby sends in a very interesting comment, and that's why I've highlighted it because I kind of agree. Outnumbered in midfield twice now against Chelsea and Arsenal. Arsenal had two false nines and two sixes in the box. Against LFC's three, sometimes two, because as I said, they were pressing in a four with the front three forwards as well. Slot needs to work on defeating that system better. But he did, I thought, ends in the second half.
Yeah.
I think it was a structural change. And also, we won our duels better. And like Cav says, when you've got, so I've often talked about we have four, five world-class players left, game changers left in our squad from the big dogs, from the legendary team, right? And that's Alisson, who's not available. That's Trent. That's Salah. That's Virgil. Can't remember the other one now. Robertson. Yeah, they're the fight, right? Robertson's had not a very good game. Virgil's had a good game. I don't think Virgil had a bad game. I think Virgil was good. I'm going to come on to who I thought was the best. But Trent and Salah, invariably, there will be a moment in the game where they show their true class, which is world class. They can have poor games. Just before that, Salah does a sublime turn on the halfway line, spins Timber, and then that kind of sets him up. You think, okay, Salah's getting in the mood. And like Cav says, his aggression is building up. Just through that goal, and just before that, Trent puts a pass out of play, and you think it's one of those days, and you can see Trent getting frustrated. And I turned around to the guys. They were like, what's Trent doing? What's Salah doing? The guys mentioned those two specific. Go and watch along. They went, what's Trent and Salah doing today, bro? What's going on? I said, listen, I hear you and I'm seeing it. I'm with you. They're not doing nothing, but they will have an influence in this game. I'm telling you now, there is something in it for us with Trent and Salah. Literally a minute later, that happened. And obviously I charge around the room saying, what did I tell you? Do you know what I mean? They were like, well, you could have told us the lottery numbers. But I looked back at that goal and I loved the three-man move and the how in sync they were with each other, because they hadn't shown any sign of that.
Yeah.
But they showed that there is that in them. And I thought Trent's pass was better than I thought in the first place. Like, I just thought it's one of those passes. When I look back, that was a beautiful pass. And I love Salah's aggression and aggressive run where he out sprints the centre backs and he knows, because it's not easy knowing what Darwin's going to do next. But them two, weirdly, strangely, have got a mad understanding.
Yeah, listen, you're right. When you're talking about the big amigos that still kind of left in the team, the leaders or the leadership group, the Virgils, the Mo's, the Trents, the Robbos. To be fair, three of them had something to do. Virgil got us back in the game. Trent's pass. Mo to get the goal. So they all kind of did their...
3 out of 5 legends done something. Alisson's not available. Robertson didn't have a great game. No problem. 3 of them delivered, though.
They all kind of did their thing in their own way. The only issue before I kind of get into that in terms of the goal, we just need them to be a bit better. Cav mentioned we need them to build themselves into games when it's a little bit more difficult. You know, we want you to turn up a bit more, especially with the Moles and the Trents and stuff like that. We can't afford for you guys to kind of go missing for a bit. We need you guys to fight through whatever it is. You know, if it's a player that's having a good game against you, I don't know, just win a couple, build off of the next motion, build off of the next situation, you know, but we needed a bit more of those passes in the game. And if he turned up, maybe we would have had more goals, you know, in that one moment that helped us back in the game. But I look at it overall and we could have done with you doing that a bit more in the game and possibly helped us to score a few more goals. Fantastically worked goal as well. Great passing behind. I think it was for Mo. Got overhit a bit, and I think Darwin, read the situation, and he said, "Look, I'll take over here." Mo decides, "Okay, Darwin's going to get it. I'll make that run inside to create, the overload." And Darwin, with a great touch and a great pass, in the motion, how quick the game is going, and defenders are running back. Sometimes you have to praise it. And then Mo, the first time finish, man, it looks easy because he's not too far out, but it's a lot more difficult than what people think, because he doesn't kind of get onto it and whip it into the corner. It's a straight shot, but it's done enough with enough power and enough accuracy to go past Raya diving in the goal, man. So you kind of have to praise those little moments But we you know, from the big amigos you say we got left, the honchos in the team, we need you to turn up. Verge on the day, maybe not his best game, but it wasn't like something I go, I can issue here. But yeah, Trent and Mo, for me personally, man, I think if Arsenal are complaining about playing with injuries, I think Liverpool's got equally the amount of same injuries, if not more. But we played the game with less men because Trent wasn't in it, Robbo wasn't in it, Diaz wasn't in it, and a strong portion of the game, Mo wasn't in it as well. Some would even say McAllister. So, you know, for us to come out of this game and get a draw with these guys that's deciding to take the night off and just being, I don't know, mannequins, crones, whatever you want to call them for large periods of the game, I think it's kind of a good result for us, to be fair, man. But yeah, we need these guys to turn up more in the big games. You know, they can't be going missing in especially these two, the Chelseas and the Arsenals. But on the other side of that, Grizz, we didn't do well against the big teams last season. We didn't play well against, I think, apart from the Chelsea one, that first half, this first game of the season, we could have been 2 or 3 up in that one, but second half Chelsea dominated it and they could have easily won the game themselves. Arsenal beat us last season at the Emirates. Man City, we drew twice. Forgive me if I've got that incorrect. We lost to Man United. Or was that in the cup? I can't even remember. You know what I mean? We didn't do well against them. Spurs. We lost to them, so we didn't do well against the big team. But this season so far, Chelsea 1 game, that's a win. Arsenal away at the Emirates, that's a draw. So that's for me.
And Man United away.
And Man United away, 3 points.
We're net above them compared to last season. Yo, what's good? Sends in a super chat. Yo, what's good? Liverpool are good again, bro. So welcome back. You know, we used to struggle to tell him what's good, man. Diaz isn't good. Diaz isn't good versus settled blocks. Diaz is bad when it's a stand-start scenario. Robbo are net negative in possession and without. I definitely see why Slot wants Zubi now. We need someone who facilitates the build-up. Yeah, that goes back to the structure, isn't it, Keith, that we're discussing in terms of we haven't quite mastered it. Well, we thought we've solved a puzzle with Gravenberch, but it's a small sample size. I don't think we've got the balance right yet. I know everyone was talking about the Szoboszlai, McAllister, and Gravenberch midfield being the ideal, but obviously in Slot's head, it's not, because for the biggest game of the season, he's tweaked it. So that means there's still doubts. Otherwise, if you know that's your strongest midfield and that's the best way you're going to go about it, regardless of opposition, you stick to that plan, right? The fact that we didn't suggest that there is a bit of, what's the word? Like sorting out to do. But that's understandable, right? The guy's been here 3 months.
Yeah.
I think what I think people are probably, or what's good probably alluding to here, is that when we're trying to pull teams out of their structure to try and encourage them to press us, I still don't think that there's a player that like even between Gravenberch and McAllister and Szoboszlai, is not really a player, in my opinion, at the moment who wants the ball deep to dictate, if that makes sense. Like, for example, Gravenberch is very, very comfortable with allowing the ball, his body to manipulate the ball, going past players, dribbling past players, taking the ball up, a bit like Szoboszlai as well, right? They're very good at kind of using their physicality, their drive to drive us up the pitch. I think McAllister is good a passer. I actually think he's very good as a number 10 as well, getting into the box and trying to score goals. But I don't think there's any player really out of the 3 midfielders who really wants to sit and say, you know what, I'm going to be the one to knock it. I'm going to be the one to kind of make us more comfortable in possession. So that's why I feel like Zubimendi's type player is what we wanted. And the fact that we didn't get him is a reason why we didn't go after anybody, because I don't think any other profile of midfielder that we would have gone after would have been any different to what we have. But we are missing a metronome, someone that's more comfortable to say, do you know what, Van Dijk, Kanate, give me the ball in the triangle. I'm going to turn and I'm going to knock it about and I'm going to pass it and I'm going to make it move. Ryan is that guy though, no? I think Ryan slightly different in the sense that I think with Ryan, I think he's more comfortable with saying, okay, like, not too deep. He's not. I don't really see him as the type of guy that's literally going to say, right, give me the ball, and I'm going to start looking to play 1-2 here, there, and everywhere. I feel like Ryan is more like, okay, Virgil's got the ball here. I'm in between the 2 players here. Here's the ball to me here. So I can manipulate the ball and I can take the ball and drive up the pitch with it. That's where I see the slight difference.
You want someone in that situation. You want someone to pop off a pass.
Yeah, I want someone to
Rather
be
than
like a
drive with the
metronome.
ball.
Yeah, I want someone to be particularly in games against Arsenal, for example, where Arsenal they're not easy to play. They overload their midfield. It's very difficult it's very difficult to pass around Arsenal if you're not confident in doing so. So if they're physical, they're overloading your midfield. There's not a lot of space for Ryan Gravenberch or McAllister to do what they're very good at. You need someone else to be brave with the ball who could probably take the ball away from the centre backs and try and dictate the ball, pass it around, be available and open in spaces in deeper situations. Then I think McAllister and Gravenberch's qualities allow them. This is why I think Slot wants Zubimendi or a player of that style. And it's probably why Endo doesn't get any games at all, because Endo really doesn't have that style. On the topic of Diaz, I do agree with that to a certain extent as well, because sometimes with Luis Diaz, the problem is he is really a out-and-out wide forward, right? He's the kind of guy that wants to get the ball, he wants to take on his man. I don't think he's very good when it's a couple times in the Arsenal game, he gets the ball and he knocks it in invertedly and he loses and he gets the pass wrong. I don't think he's the type of guy. Look at Salah, right? Salah, creative, run past your man. He's got all of those attributes. Whereas Diaz very much is. If a player's like a Thomas Partey is not going to give him that space to run past him or run at him, then he does kind of struggle. He's very good at, I suppose, finding spaces to run beyond the man, which is why he's not just a winger. He's more of a wide forward. But I still think on the ball, at times, he can let us down in possession and in a lot of scenarios. And I think that's what was one of his biggest frustrations. He wasn't winning his duels with Partey. He wasn't getting past him. So when he did have the ball and he was trying to knock it around, he was also losing it as well. So he became frustrated. And the more frustrated he gets, the more stupid fouls he was giving away. And then he got hauled off.
Yeah. Do you know,
great just have your opinion on exactly this topic, because I think this is probably the crucial talking point around that game, especially the way Arsenal's midfield was able to dictate in that opening spell. I know we worked our way back into it second half. Our build-up is not good enough to evade a team. What's good says. With an elite press, and I think Arsenal, for me, have probably got the best press in Europe. And I've said that for a little while. No one drags the opponents apart enough, and Grav is better as a second receiver, which Keith was saying as well. But I thought last season McAllister was that first receiver that we've sort of fallen upon or decided that we want. Now, limited options around Europe and the world in terms of that kind of player. Otherwise, everyone will be buying that kind of player or whatever, or the profile will be more popular and common. It's not. That's why we only wanted Zubimendi.
By the way, it's not. Sorry, it's not. That's why Rodri won the Ballon d'Or, in my opinion, because that style of player is so rare. Yeah, it's impossible. People spend hundreds of millions.
He's a freak. He can do absolutely everything that we've discussed. Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai, Rodri is all of that rolled into one. So he's a freak. Is that the problem, Cav? Is that what you're seeing as well in terms of the midfield and the structure and how we have to decide on the structure that we're going to play? Are we going to play? Because slowly we're reverting back to the 4-3-3 of Jurgen Klopp. I saw a lot of Jurgen Klopp 4-3-3. That game reminded me of the time we played Brighton away and we got absolutely ripped to shreds, where I think we played Thiago and I can't remember the other midfielder so high, and Brighton just tore us to shreds. I think it was a cup game or something. I can't remember. But is it a personnel thing? Because when we play the same personnel with Virginia and Hendo, the energy and the legs are there. It's a total different way of playing. So are we still working our way into sort of what kind of profile of play we want and then put them in a formation? Because I don't think Slot's got one formation.
Yeah, and that's part of it, is that he will tweak and he will change. And he's done well with that up until this point, with one or two games that you'd probably say, not really. I'd like to think that playing out from the back, carving teams open, creating chances seamlessly, with simple passing is going to improve as time goes on under Slot. surely it will, right? He's still getting them ideas across. He's still building chemistry amongst players. He's still getting patterns of play down and everything else. So surely that will improve naturally. I don't think there's too many cogs missing to really facilitate that. I think we may be one or maybe two. I'd say one midfielder away from it. We talked about Robertson. Keith talked about Robertson on the ball. I think if you get a left back, Ryan Aït-Nouri, somebody like that, that's really comfortable and offers an outlet as well, that could really change the dynamic of how you play out from the back. I think in McAllister and Gravenberch, we've got two players that are comfortable receiving the ball and can turn out. But I do agree they're probably both, as Keith described it, and what's a good point in Super Chat, the second receivers. I think they probably like the pass to go to somebody else before then. They will offer because they know that's part of their job in the team, and they do well when they do offer the ball and receive it. They'll turn on it and what have you. But I do think what Keith's trying to get at is there's somebody that knows that is his role, is to collect it. So we do well, and we're doing well so far. My biggest worry is what happens if Gravenberch is out of the team. I know McAllister played in the 6 last year, but Jesus, we've not got such a comfortable player playing out from the back. It could completely change how we perform.
It's funny because I think all our midfielders, the way you guys have discussed it, I'd say all our players are second, apart from Endo, who's unfortunately I don't think is in the picture. But I think Curtis, Gravenberch, McAllister, definitely Szoboszlai are all, I'd say, good to very good second receivers. Like all of them can turn on a sixpence, get the ball, and make space for themselves. But I think McAllister can pop off the first time pass. In fact, sometimes he does it too much. Maybe McAllister out of the 3.
Yeah, possibly. But one thing I was going to add to Keith's point when he was talking about it is I think the number 10 position shouldn't be overlooked as well in this. I know it's a position that, seemed like it was going out of the game and everybody wanted to be inside forwards and false nines and stuff. And the number 10 position got lost, really, didn't it? The likes of Odegaard has brought it back. But what these number 10s that are the best in the world do really well is they drop into pockets, right? And these pockets are anywhere across the pitch. And they either drop deep centrally or more often than not, what you find is they double up out wide. And it always just offers the overload to progress out from the back. And so when we always talk about goalkeeper to centre-back goalkeeper into the 6 or centre-back into the 6, what's his next pass? And for so long for Liverpool, it's been go wide to your fullbacks. Now it's a case of see if you can turn on the ball, see if you can find a central pass and then go wide. And we've seen sometimes actually Gravenberch turn on the ball and play a direct through ball to our forwards. We've seen that a few times this season. But the positioning of the 10 is so key in that as well. Because if you're 10 central, well, you're not going to run into that space. You're going to give it to the man ahead of you. The ball moves quicker than the player can, right? But if the 10 drops out wide, if the man turns on the ball centrally, he can drive into that space because it's been left vacant by the number 10. Or in another scenario, your 10 drops into the wide area, almost sitting on your fullback to offer that option as well. Your fullback position drops a little bit deeper and you work a triangle out wide and then come central again. And I think what we've probably not quite got at the minute, Szoboszlai does a lot of work off the ball. That's great. And he can turn on it. That's great. But I don't think he's got that nous, that in-game intelligence of knowing where the pocket's going to be to offer himself and then allow that extra man. And that's one thing I think when we spoke about Saka getting real joys against Robertson, especially in the first half. One thing we didn't mention was what that exact thing Rice was doing. Rice was there and thereabouts at all times, always an option on the ball. Partey was winning his battle. So that triangle on the right side of the pitch facilitated space for Saka to ultimately get Robertson one-on-one. And I don't think that's what we've quite got with I know Rice isn't a 10, but you see it more often with the 10. I don't think that's quite what we've got yet to offer that, extra man finding space in our build-up. And I'd like to think it will come, but you could just see how that could really facilitate more chances and progressing out from the back if our number 10 just found pockets better and offered the ball better. Because you can see that the players that receive the ball from the centre-backs have the ability to turn and play the pass, but they've got to have the pass to play, And I think something that hinders us a little bit, it's both our weapon, but also we fall victim of it ourselves, is because we have a lot of our players have incredible ability at playing long passes, sometimes we might fall into the trap of let's go for that then, instead of, our game is centered around keeping the ball, short passes, 5 to 10 yard passes. Let's progress up the pitch. It's good to have that weapon. And to be honest, we've scored a lot of goals for being direct that you never want to lose it. But timing's key as well. And we've seen it, Virgil can play a long ball. Trent can play a long ball. To be fair to him, KHANAGE's picked out a few good passes long wise. But your style now is to find your central midfielders, find the pockets that your 10 finds, progress up the pitch.
This is where I think, and I think you make an absolutely brilliant point about the number 10 situation. I actually think, I think Slot's trying to reinvent this 10. I don't think we should call it the conventional 10 role. Like, it's not a conventional 10 role. It's not a Coutinho or a Harvey Elliott or a Fabio Carvalho. Automatically we think, we're playing a number 10. Them 3 players are perfectly suited. I think he's playing his number 10. And I can't remember I had a Dutch journalist on when we had Slot in terms of how he plays his formation, and he was telling me about the player they use in that position for Feyenoord in his previous club. He likes his physical 10. He likes a 10 who's more about winning duels and harassing the opposition, as opposed to what you want, a cute 10, an intelligent 10, one that's going to be Harvey Elliott, Coutinho, what we're talking about.
Do you know it's been done before with success, Grizz? If you remember the Leicester title winning team, right? That Jamie Vardy constantly on the shoulder of the defenders, right? You had Mahrez, who's ultimately like our Salah, where touch is perfect. You can trust him, give him the ball anywhere. He'll bring it down, he'll touch it left, right, but he'll pick out the forward, right? And then in and behind Vardy, they had Okazaki, right? And Okazaki always came in for the big ties because his work rate in the 10. Never anything particularly special, but his work rate was incredible, right? And it facilitated everything else that they were trying to do. They had a unique player in Vardy on the shoulder. They had a unique player in Mahrez with his touch and his skill, right? They had them outlets. They had Ndidi, which was comfortable receiving the ball out of the back, and that's what they went with. Yes, they changed it from game to game, but majority, that's what they went with in the big ties. So I would say Szoboszlai is probably closer to that in terms of profile as a 10, as opposed to Odegaard, who's like, I'm just going to find a pocket because I'm so comfortable on the ball. I'll make sure that I retain it and I'll pop a pass, and through my passing and my positioning, I'm going to create space for everybody else. And I'm going to carve this team open. It's a different way of playing with this 10, but what we've got to make sure is it ties in with everything else that we're doing, because Okazaki worked for Jamie Vardy because Jamie Vardy was always the furthest man up the pitch and he very rarely come back. If you've got a Darwin Nunez that's on the shoulder and then running back to help the left back, suddenly that number 10 role's got to be different. He's got to occupy a 9 position and stuff. So it's always about the system and making it work within the system,
Yeah. Big up Asim from BNR, who's in the chat, says the water hat is on. That was a previous message. Yep. We've got a league title to win, mate. Not quite on the bus yet that you started off last year, but there's a league title to be won. And I was thinking about the player that he used in Szoboszlai's role and position, and it's this fella, Orkan Kokcu. I hope I've butchered it because it's more fun when you butcher it, but I try to be serious. That's the player that he utilizes, and that's the player that's been strongly linked, and apparently we have sent scouts watching him again and again and again. He's now at Benfica, but again, not your conventional 10. Playmaker, technical 10. He's a very energetic, high octane type 8/10. So I think he is working towards trying to, do something different. For example, against Arsenal, he threw in Curtis Jones, who's not like Szoboszlai. Curtis Jones likes to get the ball, but then Curtis Jones hasn't got the quickness of speed. I don't think he's perfected the speed of thought required to play in that 10. It's probably because he hasn't played in that 10 for years. Jurgen Klopp spent 2 seasons converting him into a midfielder, and now he suddenly has to play in that number 10 role. I think we're still working, and of course we know it's a work in progress. I
can't remember what year it was, but towards the end of the season, Curtis Jones got in the team and he was contributing with goals because he was finding space in the box because no one was picking him up, right? And we played like a box 4 as a forward. And I don't know if he played as we almost played 2-10s, or I don't know what you want to call
it. Was
it.
like 2-10. It was like 2-10.
And he was always the free man. And I just wonder if maybe you put him in there because he knew Partey and White were playing out of position. And he probably thought that neither of them would pick him up and that he could find space in and around the box. It's just that didn't pan out in the game. He actually didn't have enough joy further up the pitch for him to find them areas. You know, actually his game becomes so much more focused on what he can do for the team off the ball, which unfortunately isn't quite as adept as what Szoboszlai gives us.
Yeah, Omar's of course Turkish, and this player's Turkish, so he's telling me how to spell his name. It's pronounced Kirkju. Okay, sorry, brother. I mean, I'd like to say you pronounce his name on a Friday night after one of your Friday nights.
Can I just add to that as well? I think, do you know what I don't think we do enough of as well? Maybe from an observation standpoint, we try to do it maybe when we rotate the team. I think we don't change up, say move Gravenberch into that second man receiver position that we've been, and you guys were making great points, Cav and Keith. We don't move him in there enough, in my opinion. We did it against Man United.
We did it against Man
United. Every time he got the ball, he was just leaving their midfield for dust because he was that second receiver. And then when he got it, he was just carrying it into those open spaces and then giving it to the wingers and forwards to then go and finish off the kind of sequence or to try and get the goal. I don't know if we do it enough. I know maybe in games sometimes they kind of move around, but you can tell as an instruction, that's not my role for today. We saw it against United, that was his role. You're going to be playing as the more forward-thinking kind of midfielder. We're going to block off these passing lanes, and then when you get it, you receive it second man and go. I think against Arsenal, we could have probably dropped McAllister as a receiver in that one, as the pivot in there, and then allow Gravenberch to then be the guy that could turn. Because once he did it in the game, he left these guys. They kept trying to foul him every time he did it, but he wasn't doing it in the areas that could actually hurt them. It was more in our own half. He would turn, maybe carry it for like 15 yards, and then someone would foul him. But if he was doing that in the other half, you're talking about edge of the box. That's a free kick there. Trent can then jump on that one. Maybe he can then give it to Diaz in a better position, and then we get the overlapping.
That's his role. That's what he grew up playing, that role. Sort of, dare I say it, Pogba-esque, a more advanced role. But again, I don't think we've, like Cav says, what's our options? I think it's a lack of options, and that's why we were all in for Zubimendi, who would have enabled Gravenberch to do exactly what you've said. McAllister, I don't know. Again, we've 1 hour, 20 minutes in, and we've got so many few things to discuss because we could still discuss McAllister's role. I don't think we've quite found the role for McAllister, or it's harsh because he has shown glimpses of brilliance. Do you get what I mean? Like it's not like, McAllister's playing there. And that's completely. Like eyes closed. Like Gini, Fabinho, Henderson, we knew eyes closed. If they gave us the pieces, we just eyes closed. We don't need to open our eyes to put them where they are. With our midfield right now, with the personnel, apart from Endo, you can put them anywhere and say, all right, let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
One of those ones, isn't it?
But I think we will. I think it's good enough for the time being. And yes, I think we could have made some tweaks, and that might have helped us against Arsenal. But it was good enough to get a point away. It's good enough to put us second in the league at this point. And I do think as the games go on, we will just stumble upon a partnership that just really works. How long it works for, I don't know. But they've got so much ability and talent and the right attitude as individuals, these midfielders, that they will just conjure something up. I think McAllister and Gravenberch work quite well together. But I do agree with you on the McAllister point, because whenever I think back to McAllister at Brighton, I just think, there were games where he was, as the more advanced midfielder, was getting goals, assists, and everything. He looked like one of the best players in the world in the advanced positions.
I absolutely hear you. But who do we play there then? Because we're saying Gravenberch, Enz is promoting Gravenberch forward. You're promoting McAllister. Keith saying Curtis Jones needs to play further forward.
I think McAllister's
rotated per game, though, can't we, guys? We can look at it and go, what does this game require? For Man United, we got it spot on. we needed someone to carry the ball. We realized their midfielders are slow. So we needed someone that has the speed, has that ability to turn on the sixpence, intercept, and then carry it into those dangerous areas. Arsenal, I think we could have done that. I didn't see anything. What Gravenberch was doing in the game, there was no situation I'm like, McAllister could have just easily have done that. Because I know once you give it to McAllister and he turns and finds Gravenberch, for me, he could have taken 2 players out of the game, might have disrupted, Partey dropping inside and all that. And then maybe he sprays one over, Partey's done the tucking inside. Diaz is then.
But I think that's. But for me, I think that comes down to something that I said right at the beginning, which was my disappointment, was the lack of bravery. You have to be brave. Everything that we're describing that we think McAllister or Gravenberch or Jones could have done required a certain element of being brave on the ball. And I just think that after the result last season when we lost 3-1 away, we lost to Arsenal away, like we've all described, right? We didn't have a great away record last season. I think we picked up out of the top 6, probably picked up about 3 points away from home when they were all draws. So I think that does live in the psyche a little bit. I don't think we've ever really played that well against Arsenal at the Emirates anyway, even when we beat them 2-0 in the FA Cup. So I think a lot of it is going to come down to how much do we rate ourselves? How brave, how quick of mind and sharp can we be when we're playing it out to these guys to then allow them to be themselves? And I think until we become braver in this system, which is probably going to take time, I think, we're going to still have some teething issues, in my opinion. You can't do everything that we've said and we've seen them do unless they're willing to do it on a consistent and regular basis and not revert back to form, which is going long.
Yeah. Look, Yo What's Good is sponsoring the channel tonight, so it's only fair I read that. Before we move on, we must move on. Yo What's Good he says, I don't think McAllister is great at what we need: organized build-up, disrupting the opposition pressing shape. I think Mac is food as first receiver against an elite pressing team. He has made a few errors, hasn't he, when he's been pressed. And
how many elite teams is that, though, Grizz? How many elite teams is in the Premier League?
Great point.
Not many.
So then, is it one of those ones that we change it for the elite team? Well, it's Man City and Arsenal, really, only, right?
Yeah.
We'd be comfortable with
Well, the next best is probably, in fairness, the team we're going to face back-to-back next. A good football
that's going to be interesting.
Team. So,
let's see.
Sorry, Grizz. No, you go. You do this future.
He says, consider how Slot uses his 10, the amount of ground he covers, makes up, etc. No way I want to see McAllister doing that, nor does he think he can. Pivot for now, in my opinion. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Pivot. That's probably suits him down to the ground.
Well, what I would like to see, just quickly, what I would like to see in terms of variety, right? Just as a few examples. Let's just pick the right side, okay? Trent can play the long balls, he can play them from deep or what have you, but he's also great delivery from the right hand side. When he overlaps, he often picks his man out. So I want to see Trent sometimes play in, deeper, but also sometimes change his game to be the overlapping fullback. Yeah. I also want to see Salah when Trent is further deep. You see Szoboszlai making the third man run, or Nunez will run across the box, and Salah will try to pick out that box that gets the forward to the byline, right? If Trent's gone on the overlap, pick out Trent with the overlap. We can mix that up, right? If that's not working, I'd swap McAllister and Szoboszlai out, right? Have Szoboszlai as a deeper midfielder and have McAllister as the man in the D on the edge of the 18-yard box, because I think he's the cutest at receiving the ball in that position and then with one touch playing a slide rule pass, right? And that then offers another option, because you're not playing the ball to a man that's running beyond the defense, you're playing it to the man in front of the defense that then plays a pass through. So when we talk about these midfielders and we bring everybody else into it with regards to our fullbacks and stuff, there's so much variety there. And I think that's one thing that I hope in the coming weeks I don't get frustrated at watching these games, is thinking, how can we not break these teams down? I'm like, well, change up that stuff then. And that's not even changing personnel. That's just using them differently. I don't want us to fall victim of what I felt happened under Klopp a little bit, where it was like, Trent, let him do his thing. Nah, let him do his thing. But then if it's not working, give him clear instruction to be an overlapping fullback for the next half an hour. If that's not working, tell him to come as a deeper option so that the third man run can be done by the midfielder. If that's not working, Don't tell your midfielder to stop running to the byline and just sit on the edge of the 18-yard box. And you can change that with the personnel because they all have ability in these positions. If they didn't have ability in these positions, I won't be suggesting they do this, you know. But that's where I get excited by the team, but I also at the same time want to see it because I feel like Sunday's game against Arsenal, we had a period in that second half where we could have probably done more, and I feel like we probably could have done more. Keeps their right. Bravery is one thing, but also En's touched upon it. Maybe Gravenberch's position, but there's so much more you can do with the same players on the pitch that I don't think would have hindered us. Would have just mixed it up and probably gave us more opportunity to create. That's all. I think sometimes you gotta have that variety in game to catch the opposition off guard a little bit because they'll be analysing you and they'll be assessing what you're going to do into the game, and it's sometimes you might need to just tweak it. But I may be asking for a lot at this point. I'm just saying that's what I hope to see in the future.
This is why I brought in Red Zabby, who's made some fantastic points today. Red Zabby, man, message me, man. I think you should come on the show, man. So far your messages have been bang on. He said that's a lot to ask in 12 games. We are work in progress. We are, and I think we're in a good way. We most certainly are in a good way because that's one defeat in 12. You know, Champions League pretty much qualified. We've gone away to Man United, Milan, Wolves, Palace, Arsenal now, and come out in terms of in a positive net. In a positive light. He sends in a super chat, says again, what's good, says Szoboszlai, who has an angle bias, received back to man between lines under pressure, ? I don't know, man. I've got to do American accent because what's good is American.
Is he a coach, bruv, or he plays a lot of Football Manager, bro? Most of these comments are cold still. I can't even lie.
His technicality is inconsistent, man.
He's rich ends with all these super chats, that's for sure.
Hell no. He says, hell no. So, you know, I mean, I've got to do an American accent. Szoboszlai, who has an angle bias, received back to man between the lines under pressure.
I don't know, man. It's good. Well, hour and a half, I think we can cut it there.
Listen, we had 3 topics. We can only talk about one. Time only allows us one topic. So obviously it was the Jota and Nunez debate, or is the Brighton team lineup tomorrow? Do we ditch the Carabao Cup? I can't remember the third topic. Which one we want to go for? Who's deciding? And you decide the topic. Tomorrow's game lineup predictor or the Nunez and Diaz chat? I don't know, man. It's big.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do tomorrow's. No, actually, I already spoke about it. But let's do the Jota. I swear you said Jota is one of them as well.
Well, obviously, the question today is obviously it's leading up to tomorrow because obviously, I think we'll converse the two. We'll merge the two. Converse the two. We'll merge the two. So obviously tomorrow League Cup, we would have liked a full house in terms of squad availability, and so we can rotate, make usual 7, 8, 9 changes possibly, and then go again because we play them again. Obviously, we have Elliott out, we have Alisson out, we have Jota out. And Chiesa out. They almost certainly would have all come into the team. Bradley is 50-50, probably makes the bench, maybe starts, plays one half because he's just come out to train in this half. But the one that's irking everyone for some reason is the Jota situation. I'll start with you, Keith. Jota's, I asked a question on Twitter, is he injury prone? Is he prone to injury? Or is he just unlucky where 6 foot athletes are just literally falling on him? Like, man, like you, imagine you falling on Jota, man. He ain't paying up for shit. But
absolutely not.
And ultimately, people are just frustrated now because every season he plays less than 50% of the games. It's just not on for your starting striker, is it? And he's essentially our starting striker. I know Nunez, that's another debate. Well, actually, it's in the debate. So my question to you guys is, if we go out and we buy a starting striker, we've been linked with Grizz today, and Mamouche, the Egyptian that plays in Germany. If we do go out and buy a starting striker, who gets demoted to the Nunez role, which is essentially today, which is the backup striker? Do you keep Nunez? Do you keep Jota? That's what I want to.
Tough one. A quick one for me is the first question you ask: is he injury prone or is he prone to injury? I think he's prone to injury. Jota, look at what Mo Salah's doing. Come into the training center early, pick up some of them bands, pick up some of them weights, and just, you know what I mean? Just puts a bit more effort into, the general structure. I just feel like, he's physically, I think he could just work on himself a little bit more to be a bit stronger. So when these impacts do happen, like the second time he's basically gone off injured for a month because someone fell on him, you don't see that happening to Salah, and people fall on Salah all the time. So I think a lot of it is down to him as a person, like, get in the gym, lad. You know what I mean? Like, get improve yourself physically in that aspect, and maybe protect yourself a little bit because the problem is, why I say he's prone to injury as opposed to injury prone is because the way he plays football is very physical, right? Typical Portuguese style.
To injury, the way he plays.
Exactly. He's literally, it's almost like he will just run into the wall, right? You know what I mean? Pay no mind to it. He will go, like, it doesn't matter whether the guy's 6'5", 6'6". He will tussle with him. He will physically back up into him. He will jump in the air. You know what I mean? Like, he just puts himself about, which is brilliant. And what makes him so special as a player. But unfortunately, with that comes the injuries that he picks up along the way. Probably, if you look back to a lot of his injuries, they were as a result probably of 50-50s against defenders, where he's gone up against them and he's got physical with them, and then the defenders either clattered him or fell on him. So, he's been a bit unlucky in that sense. You know what? In terms of your second question, I'm going to reserve judgment on Darwin Nunez. But if you were to ask me, gun to my head right this second, I would say that Jota has more versatility across the front three, and therefore would be the guy to be the backup striker to what we do need is a full-time first-team striker. Darwin Nunez now has a couple of weeks to prove that he is that guy. He really much does. I think he's getting better. I still think the goals are lacking, though. I still think he's terrible in the air. And I still think that he lacks a bit of versatility, but he's trying hard. He's defending better. He's better. He's improved as a player, so he's got a chance. But again, ask me right now. Jota stays, and Nunez goes, and we find someone that takes the mantle as the new number 9.
Gav, same question to finish off with.
Oh, it's so tough. But not for the reasons that Keith said. Actually, I think the trouble you've got is Jota may or may not be there, obviously. But with Nunez, he works so hard. He is available. You can see his game slightly improving. You can see that in time, learning the system, that there's a chance it could really work out for him under Slot in this system, right? But there's also the chance that Nunez is just this player that doesn't buy into systems and just really plays off the cuff and really just runs around and tries to be involved in everything too much. And it's what happens when your striker, your first choice striker, isn't there and you have to put Nunez in. Now, we're going to learn because Nunez is going to play more games for us with Jota out, but does it disrupt your system too much? And to be honest, Keith said it earlier, what was part of the issue for us against Arsenal was that we lost our 2 best pressers at further up the pitch in Jota and Szoboszlai. That's going to remain the case because I'm not too sure Nunez is ever really going to learn how to, when the triggers to press are, the angles to press, the pace in which to charge at your man. I don't think he's ever going to really get that. So when he steps in because your first choice striker's out, how much does it disrupt the team? I don't know. I think we're going to find out in the coming weeks. You got that against simply not having somebody at all in Jota. So one thing that is certain for me is that I think if Liverpool want to be a team to win the Premier League or the Champions League, they are going to need to have a settled striker. Whatever that striker is under the Slot system, a false 9, a goal getter, whatever it is, we need to settle upon it for us to make that next step, I think.
And you decide. Yowood says Darwin is pants, but I think his versatility is the same level as Jota's. Not that great in my opinion. Nunez generates chances at a higher volume too. Again, he's pants. So ultimately, he's pants.
Shall I help you, Enz?
I think I know Enz's answer. Very obvious, but
let me just throw a little thing in.
Go on.
We still have Cody, so.
I don't think he sees him as a striker, though.
No, I don't think he does. I don't think, and I don't want him to. I don't want him to. But let's say Nunez goes, you're left with Cody and Jota. Would you rather have that, or would you rather have Nunez and Cody?
I'm getting rid of Jota, man. Do you know what?
He already had his answer.
No, I'm getting, and it's not.
Let him land.
No, it's not. I'm going to keep it short and sweet, man. You need your players available, man. Jota is a cold player when available, but the only reason why people are going in and in which one you would get rid of is because we don't have someone that's bagging in the goals as a striker. The fan base is not even split on Nunez. They don't rate him. I think he's a good player, but to a certain point, I think he can offer the squad something. Is he the main star for me? No. But the reason why people want to keep Jota is because we don't have a main starter up front. But Jota isn't here. So if you're telling me we can get rid of Jota and
I'm saying we get a
striker,
yeah,
then I'm getting rid of Jota. I need someone available, bro. I can't have this man keeps missing months and end.
But if he plays less games, he'll get injured less, and then
no, it don't matter. It don't matter this rate. He played less games last season, not as many. But he didn't even come from like running. Someone fell on him. Now this season,
that's unlucky.
So not only you getting muscular injuries, now people are just falling on you. So
but that's not his fault, man.
How old is Jota? I should know, but how old is it?
28, I think. 27,
28. Right. I'm telling you now, he's getting in another couple of years, them injuries, they're going to really start impacting his
years, Cav. Like, we can say that for everyone in another couple of years. Yeah, I get it. But
what I'm saying is Jota comes back and he's still effective. But in 2 years' time, if this continues, he won't be effective no more.
No, I agree with you.
Every 2 games.
Okay. Before people think I've made a decision, in my opinion, I haven't. I'm listening to you guys. I'm trying to evaluate pros and cons of Jota and Nunez. And I agree with Keith. I think Nunez has improved a lot. Enough to warrant a starting place moving forward in terms of a league title campaign? No, for me. But he's improved enough to be saying, don't get rid of me yet. Don't go anywhere. I'm still here. And I'm still fighting for my place, and I'm ready to show you this season. And I think it's make or break for him. I'm going to be honest. There was some reports that suggested Klopp had given up on him last season. I actually believe those reports. If Klopp had stayed, I think Nunez was gone. That's just my opinion. But it's given him a new lease of life. Slot doesn't fancy him fully yet, like Klopp, but Slot's ready to give him a chance. And you can tell the way Slot speaks about him. He's ready to give him a chance. So let's see now. Grizz, can you shut up, United?
That's 4 people out the door in the summer now.
Hey?
5. Well, 3 are going to leave on freeze. And then we've got Robertson and Nunez. That's what we decided today.
Yeah, Robinson.
No, I made
P60 says get rid of them both. To be honest,
he wants to give him that P60.
Yeah, he must have them the P60.
I made the point when Enz and I had a brief conversation about it earlier. Come the summer, we potentially could have 3 big hitters leaving. I don't think we're going to be talking about Jota. I think we'll be back to focus on left back in the number 6 and potentially replacing some real big boys.
Man, another summer.
Jota's sitting back going
6. Summer's 50% of games. They get rid of me. Days away. Very, very quickly. Start with you, Enz. Total revamp of a team, or are you still throwing a few big names in there? I don't want you to name a whole 11, but just give me like a foundation of your team that you're keeping, and then we know the rest of that are going to come in. So who are you keeping out of the big dogs, basically?
Darwin, Sobbo, Virgil.
Okay. Mr. Keith Cross?
I'm keeping Darwin Nunez, Mo Salah, and
Keith, I'll probably say on Saturday. Keith, we got a game on Saturday.
Salah don't miss games, man. Salah won't miss. I think he'll play Salah in this one.
Stop trying to influence the mind, please.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I think the 2 Trent and Robertson will be dropped, and I think you're probably going to get Konza, Virgil, Kelleher.
Who are you keeping? So you're keeping Virgil, you're keeping Salah, and you're keeping Nuno.
And Nunez. Kelleher as well. And I would probably say last one. Yeah, I agree. I think Szoboszlai.
Who are you keeping out of the first team, Cav?
Kelleher, Virgil, Szoboszlai, Salah, Diaz.
Diaz, you play.
I think he rests. Yeah, because I think he'll rest Nunez because he spoke about it in the press conference that he's played 3 times in 8 days, and with the games coming up, he's our own striker. Well. He's our only striker. I think
Diaz didn't start the previous game as well. By the way,
yeah, and you can say the same for Salah, but we know about Salah's resilience, so I think he'll just roll him out again.
I think we're sure.
Oh, one thing.
Go on.
Brighton have only lost 1 game this season as well.
They've conceded quite a lot of goals, though. They score, but they concede.
Do we really care about tomorrow, guys? I'm all about 3 points.
I want to win. I want to win, Chris. I want to win every game we play, bro.
See, I like that. I do, yeah. But every time
you're the one who was hinting at Keith, say, Salah is only Carabao.
No, but I trust the other players. But Grizz, I trust the other players. If Mo don't play, that means he's not going to be taking the night off. He might be on the bench. He can relax. If we need to pass,
also, right. When is resting Salah ever done us any good? Tyler Morton, chuck him in. This is what upsets me now, right? Because I could have seen Basetic in a Liverpool shirt this season, and we sent him out on loan. Grizz, I know you don't agree, but as Enzo and I were talking about the lineup earlier on, and I was thinking to myself,
Grizz, please, just for me for 1 minute. I know you got to go. Just bring it up and let this while Cav is talking.
What's that?
The team. I've got it in the background that we discussed. I know you got to go, but it's there. Let the people then kill everyone on the panel about it. But sorry, Cav, go ahead.
I think Gerald starts.
Nah, I said my piece, man.
I think Gerald starts.
Yeah.
You've spoken about him before, haven't you, Grizz?
I think he starts tomorrow.
You don't think he's too bad at all?
No.
But why do we need to rest the goalkeeper, Grizz? He's in goal.
Because this happens, man. Sometimes you can get injuries, man. Our keepers are the only ones that get injuries, bro. Kelleher missed a couple weeks back. Remember?
Yeah, I remember.
But Grizz, we can not play him and then in training he lands on an elbow.
I miss Bradley so much. I miss Elliott so much. I miss Jota so much. Them 3 players would have made the squad so different looking. Is there a case, and we must move on, is there a case of throwing Robbo back in there and keeping Tsimikas for the league game?
Wow, is that you dropping him already, Grizz? Yeah. You dropped him out the
front.
You just asked the question.
I agree with you 100%. I think Tsimikas on current form should be the number 1 choice left back as it stands. I'm just going to say it. I feel
Bradley definitely.
I never thought I'd say this,
I agree.
I cannot believe. Before you say Tsimikas is number 1 left back.
Cap, before you go, right? The last stream we did with Grizz here, Grizz told us, "Nah, man, you man dropping Robbo." That's what he said, bro.
I'm asking a question.
That's what he told us.
No, I'm asking you.
Nah,
I said Slot won't drop Robbo. Remember. I said
I'll go back and watch it. I'm pretty sure you said you
1,000,000%
got onto us for dropping him because we
professional in this game. I always watch what I say. I'm telling you now. I said Slot would never drop Robbo for that game, but now it's all up in the air. I agree with you.
But the reason why we said we would have started him is because he came off the back of a good performance. Like, nah, man, Tsimikas deserves to stay. I'm going to have to go back and watch it anyway, but I'm pretty sure you defended you got onto us about starting him.
Is there a case, very last topic, is there a case for one of Tyler Morton or the youngster and Neoni?
Trey, call him Trey if you want him.
Trey
safe.
We need to see Trey. Trey needs to get some minutes tomorrow. And Sam said it earlier, didn't he? Right? He can't light up the whole preseason and then not see minutes. If he's not going to see minutes in this cup, when is it?
As a starter, though, or minutes? I agree with the minutes.
No, not as a starter. Not as a starter. Yeah, not as a starter. But
run him, man. Run him in there, bro. Let's see what.
We'll brave in the Carabao Cup, ain't we?
Anyone starting Morton? Any takers?
What?
I won't be.
I can't see it.
To be honest, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
I want to be opposed to it, but I just can't see it happening personally. I don't know how
I'll tell you
close
why.
or far Morton is.
I'll tell you why. If Tyler Morton comes in, I think you have a chance to put Szoboszlai and Diaz and rest Diaz for the weekend.
Now,
And put
the
Szoboszlai on
other
the
thing
right
is,
wing.
the other thing is as well, you can't have two guys in that hasn't played enough minutes. So if you're gonna, Wataru, I think definitely starts. He hasn't
100%.
played enough, and then you're gonna put someone alongside him that hasn't played as well. I think that will just off balance it. I think you still need to start.
Yeah, Jones
One of the
hasn't played
midfielders.
too much football.
No,
so I
no,
think
but he's
Jones
more of a
will be-
senior figure that's played at least some minutes. You know what I mean? Instead of throwing.
Yeah, which is why Jones makes more sense.
because he hasn't played too many minutes.
No, he's only recently just got, and that Chelsea game was his first start, I believe,
Proper start, yeah.
this season.
Now he started
He's
against
injured.
Palace as well.
Well,
So-
let's see. Let's see. I'm with you, man. Enz, I want to win every game. I was joking. I hate losing. I would never sacrifice anything for. Okay. Of course, there's levels of importance, but I'd still want to win the game. Of course, that goes without saying. But I would rotate heavily because of the 4-5 that I'm missing from the squad. But big up all of you, man. Thank you very much for one of our longest show. Let's just keep blocking dickheads from the chat, people. You already know that. All right, if you don't know that, know that. Big up Quasi. Quasi just come in the building. None of your business, man. You missed a great show. He says, smash the likes. What a sad week with the sacking of a legend. Yeah, what a legend, man. Absolute
What a legend, man.
We're going to miss you, bro. Ten Hag, we're going to miss you, bro. You was something else.
I just want to run to you, man.
Yeah,
Damn,
honestly,
you know what I mean?
it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same. But listen, thank you. Like, subscribe, all of that stuff that helps with the analytics and the algorithms and whatever business else, terminology, blah, blah, blah. See you for the post-match tomorrow. I don't know which one of these is going to help me tomorrow, or 2 or 3, maybe all 3. I doubt all 3 help me again, but you never know. I'll ask them. Post-match tomorrow, hopefully through to the next round. Hopefully no injuries. And then we bring on Brighton again. It's a mad situation. It's a mad scene. War hat is on. We're ready to rock and roll. Peace.